It's very funny looking back at the history for this movie. The fact you guys all doubted this movie back when it first came out is laughable to me. So shame on you. Hey guys, how is everybody doing? And welcome to my review of the Planet of the Apes trilogy. I have talked about the original franchise and the unnecessary remake of the Planet of the Apes. This is a trilogy and a set of movies that I have been very excited to talk about. This has been a franchise that I have loved ever since I was a kid. I've had fond memories of when I was a little kid, when I was about 4 to 5 or 6 years old. From that age, from 4 to 6 years old, I grew up watching Rise of the Planet of the Apes and Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. So rewatching Rise of the Planet of the Apes is a very special movie for me, mainly because what it did for me as a fan of movies and for this franchise. And oddly, this was my introduction to the Planet of the Apes franchise, which is odd, really. So it's very special for me. This is a very special for me personally, and you'll see why when I start talking about it. So yeah, this is a very great trilogy that I'm so happy to be talking about, and I'm finally there. I had to get through the other movies, but we're finally here after a week. Starting off with my positives. Now, when I remember when my dad was telling me about this when I first watched this that when he told me that the apes in this movie were computer generated, that he hated the idea of that when this movie was first coming out. But when the movie finally came out, he absolutely loved it. And apparently, when I looked that up, a lot of people thought that back when this movie was first coming out. But the CGI apes, to where they're now completely CGI now, on paper, when you announce that movie and you don't show us what they're going to look like, on paper, that sounds like a terrible idea. You should not do that. That just sounds terrible. Like, who wants that? Who would want that as a fan of the Planet of the Apes? But we were all proven wrong because the CGI apes in this movie look fantastic. And throughout the rest of this trilogy, they evolve and look better, but they do look the weakest here of the trilogy, but they still look great. If I'm saying that this is the weakest that they look out of three movies when this movie came out in 2011, that is saying a lot because the CGI for these apes are amazing. They truly look astounding. It's unbelievable. And the fact that you got real actors in suits that you usually see people wear when they do video games, which is kind of like the same suit that they used here, but it's like a whole different thing going on. The fact that those are human beings playing these apes and that they're CGI now, it blows my mind. It truly does. And I think they look absolutely astounding. Again, on paper, sounds like a horrible idea, but it absolutely paid off. Binge watching all these Planet of the Apes movies, something that I really noticed watching this movie and rewatching it after so many years is that there's a lot of homages to the original Planet of the Apes movie. Now, growing up, I knew, of course, the one "Get your hands off me, you damn dirty ape." I've always known that one growing up. Even when I was a kid, I knew that famous line. I always knew that. But the one thing that I noticed when I was watching this movie is the nickname for Caesar's mother, Bright Eyes. And if you pay attention in the original movie, that was the name Taylor was given by the apes because he had bright blue eyes. So he was given the name Bright Eyes. And so in this movie, Caesar's mom and everybody who has green and all the apes that have green eyes, they give them the nickname of Bright Eyes. And there's also this one shot that it's like a blink and you miss it moment. The moment after the apes all escape and when they're climbing through the trees and like going towards the bridge and of the movie, there's kids like throwing newspapers out of a truck. And again, it's a blinking you miss a moment. If you missed it, then I would just look it up real quick. In one shot, you can see the newspaper, and it's a news article, and it says "Lost in Space," which might be a reference to George Taylor in the original Planet of the Apes when he got lost out in space and went to the future and got taken over by apes. So, like the homages of the original, I really enjoyed that, especially when you binge watch all these movies, and then when you get to this point and where you can really tell that the people making this really love the Planet of the Apes, and they really truly love that original movie. So they put homages and Easter eggs in this movie that a lot of people will probably recognize. I'm totally sure that there's more in this movie. I'm sure I missed a fuck ton in this movie. So please let me know if I did miss any. But all these Easter eggs and all these hints and all to the original movie. It's amazing to me because that just shows that the filmmakers of this film truly love that original movie, and it's not just them making this movie to get a quick paycheck. Well, maybe that was the reason. Throughout this entire trilogy, the main star of Caesar, he is an amazing character. He's one of my favorite movie characters ever. If I were to do like a, I don't know, like a top 10 favorite movie characters of all time, Caesar would be there. He is an amazing character, and especially in this movie. I'll be talking about him a lot throughout this review series and throughout this trilogy. But Caesar, he is an amazing character, and the way that we see him evolve in this film to where he goes like a pet in a way, to a pet to a human ape, to where he's an ape, but he lives the lifestyle of a human, to where he's like a human. He gets thrown into this ape playground, ape daycare in a way, I guess you could call it. And then you slowly see him evolve and becoming the ape that he's truly meant to be. The ape that he was meant to be all along. This was what he was meant to be the entire time. And I love that, to where you see him become this ape-like human to a leader. That is one of the greatest transitions of a character I have ever seen. I love that, to where you see him grow, you see him get bullied, and you see him get beat up, and throughout this movie, he becomes the bully in a way. But he also doesn't beat anybody up. He just becomes the bigger man, and the stronger man, and the smarter man. He uses his knowledge that he has, and he also connects to the apes. He slowly learns the habits of an ape, but he also has a different mindset than all of them. So he reaches out to the other apes and he communicates better with them. And I love that, and especially Andy Serkis's performance. Wow. I want to talk about like an all-time performance with Andy Serkis. Wow. This guy can do anything at this point. This guy played Gollum in the Lord of the Rings trilogy, and I'm pretty sure he was also in Hobbit. I haven't watched those movies, so I wouldn't know. But this guy played Gollum in the Lord of the Rings and played King Kong in Peter Jackson's remake of King Kong. God, he likes to work with Peter Jackson. Like, this guy can do any role, and this is by far his best role. And I will die on a hill saying that, because this one, to where this feels like an Oscar worthy performance. Like, it blows my mind that none of these movies got nominated for Oscars, or maybe they did and I'm just stupid. But Andy Serkis, this guy should have won an award for his performance in these movies, because this guy is amazing, to where you kind of forget that that's a human being portraying Caesar. You kind of forget that, and that's just Andy Serkis sells that performance, not only because of the way he can speak and sound like an ape, but it's also his physicality and the way that he did the movements perfectly. Like, if you watch behind the scenes of this movie, when you see the behind the scenes of where the way he's performing Caesar and performing an ape, it's amazing to me. And it's like, this is a human being portraying an ape. Again, it's a crime that Andy Serkis has not won an Oscar already. Or if he has, then he better be a damn good actor, because wow, because I cannot see any other performance this guy doing that will top Caesar. If you go back to my thoughts on the remake of the Planet of the Apes, I hated the human characters, and none of them I liked, but that completely changed with this movie. The human characters in this movie are great. All these human characters that I truly cared for. James Franco, a lot of people have been saying they can't see him as a scientist, but I do think that he is pretty good in this movie. It is hard for me too, because um, I best know him as a comedic actor, like This Is the End and Pineapple Express. Those are not good movies to think of James Franco of, and especially Controversy. So, Controversy aside, I think James Franco is the main human character in this movie, and it was like the father. Why am I else? The father of Caesar, in a way. I think he's great in this movie, and whereas he's a scientist, and he's so determined to save his father from Alzheimer's, which is a horrible disease, and I hate it so much. Like, his dedication of trying to get this formula made to cure Alzheimer's. That's amazing to me, and I love his dedication in this movie. James Franco, I believe, gives one of his best performances of his career. I haven't seen many movies from this guy. I've only seen him in, like, Sam Raimi's Spider-Man trilogy and the two comedy movies I just listed. I need to see this guy do more movies, but, Controversy. But yeah, I think James Franco in this movie is pretty good, and as the main human character, I think he's good. And John Lithgow, I've talked about him a lot on this channel, and he gives a great performance in this movie as a man who has Alzheimer's and slowly dying from it. He gives a damn good performance in this movie, and it's a pretty emotional one too. And his character I thought was really cool and likable to where, especially the scene where he's like, where James Franco gives him like the 112 cure, and then he's able to get his memory back, and he doesn't have Alzheimer's anymore, and he's like healthy again. He plays the piano great, and he's healthy, and he wants to get out there more. He becomes like a father figure of himself to Caesar in a way. Like that character himself is great. The only character I felt wasn't very good was James Franco's girlfriend or wife. She wasn't very memorable, and she kind of got thrown in like 20 minutes into the movie, just like out of nowhere. It's just like, oh, love interest. There you go. It's like, oh, you came out of nowhere. You want to talk about amazing music? The music in this movie is adrenaline pumping because wow, I don't usually talk a lot about music on my channel, and I feel I should. Music is really great in movies a lot. And sometimes it's better than the picture showing me the motion picture on the screen that I'm trying to watch. It's like I love the music. Like the music in this movie, it's amazing. It's emotional at times when it needs to be, and the adrenaline type music, it plays at perfect times. Like the one scene that I think of is when Caesar is growing and when Caesar is evolving in a way, becoming a chimp to a kid, to a teenager, and now to a full adult. Like the scene where he's climbing the tree, running up on the branches, like the music there is amazing. I truly love it, and it's one of the best things about this movie. Like, it's amazing, and I truly love it. To where, especially when it plays at the end of this movie, to where Caesar's story ends how it began when he climbs up that tree and he sees the landscape of San Francisco. I'm getting wheezy eyed because of it. Goddamn, like it's amazing, and I really love it. And the music's just amazing in this movie. And again, I don't talk about it much. And when I talk about great music on my channel, then you know the music is fucking amazing. Remember when I reviewed the original Planet of the Apes, and when I talked about the most famous scene in that movie probably is when Taylor speaks for the first time in like 50 minutes in that movie, I think. I would say the scene where Caesar says no is better. And that is
Take your stinking paw off me, you damn dirty ape! No!
saying a lot. That scene is amazing. I truly love that scene to where, again, with the reference to the original Planet of the Apes, when the guy's like tasing him, telling him to get back in the cage, and then grabs his hand and says, "Get your damn stinking paw off me, you ape!" And then he just like, "No!" And he just says no. And the entire room and the entire scene just becomes quiet. Even a gorilla looks shocked. The man that he's holding by his forearm is shocked. The guy with the freaking tranquilizer gun is shocked. Everybody in the room is shocked and looking at Caesar like, did he just speak? Like that moment, and when he says no, you can feel the energy of the audience watching this in the theater. Because I remember I saw this comment on I always watch this clip from this movie. It's one of my favorite clips of all time. And I saw this guy talk about it in the comment section of that video saying, I remember watching this movie when the guy said, "Get your stinking paw off me, you damn dirty ape." The entire crowd giggled at it because it's a reference to the original. But the second Caesar said no, the entire theater was quiet. Nothing, not one sound happened at all. That is how powerful that scene is. And especially what makes it more powerful and better than Taylor saying, "Get your stinking paw off me, you damn dirty ape," is that we haven't heard Caesar speak once. We've only seen him use sign language and all that. And when he screams no, this is the first time you're hearing him talk, and it's amazing. Like, It just makes you just stay quiet, and it makes you feel like you've lost your breath. Like if you were having a fun time with your friends, let's say, and you're laughing at the movie a little bit, or you're laughing at something, the second that guy says no, you will all shut up and lose your breath. Now, when I'm talking about this certain part of my video, now in my notes, I put down action. But what I'm really talking about is after Caesar says no and all the mayhem that happens afterward. But one scene that I mostly think about is the San Francisco battle on the bridge. That scene where they're battling on the bridge, all the police are trying to stop the apes and whacking them, and all that. And then my favorite part of that entire scene is when Caesar's on a horse and they lifts up and does this, starts screaming, then the apes attack them, they take over. Like that scene is amazing. And again with the music there is awesome. Like when I talk about the action, when I that's what I said in my notes. Yes, I wrote down notes. Um, like that whole sequence after that, from going through a small town to the big city, breaking out other apes, going across the bridge and into the forest, like all of that after Caesar says no, and after he lets all the apes out, after everything after that is just amazing, and every scene tops the next. It truly is amazing. All in all, guys, I don't have a single negative about this movie. I truly love this movie. It is a great beginning to an amazing trilogy. And to look back at everybody saying that this was a horrible idea, making all the apes CGI is a horrible idea, I love to laugh at that now because look where we are all out now because this movie truly is amazing. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. And it is a great beginning to an amazing trilogy. If you have not seen this movie, I don't know what you're doing with your time. You need to see this movie right away. It is an amazing film. It is just a perfect movie. I truly love this movie. What do you guys think of Rise of the Planet of the Apes? Have you seen it? What do you think about it? Do you like this movie? Do you not like this movie? Let me know in the comments below and we shall talk about it. And if you like this video, like it. If you love to subscribe, hit the bell notification so you will get notified for all my latest videos and the rest of my Planet of the Apes review series. Thank you all so much for watching, and as always, I'll see you all in the next video.